Welcome to lesson 5.6, the standard form of a linear equation. So now we've become more familiar with slope-intercept form, and in our last lesson, 5.5, we looked at point-slope form. Now we're moving into what's called standard form. So again, this is another form for writing linear equations of lines. And what standard form is, it's in the form ax plus by equals c. And the rule is the a, b, and c must all be integers, meaning no fractions or decimals. They're what we call our counting numbers, so positives or negatives or zero that are no fractions or decimals. So the question is, how do we go into that equation if we're already in something like slope-intercept form where our slope is a fraction? How do we undo the fraction and then write our equation for standard form? So we're going to look at that in example 1. And I apologize for this table being here on the left. You can just cross that off. It pasted in there from a different set of notes. So ignore that table there. We're just going to look at example 1 here that says write the equation in standard form. So our original equation is y equals 2/5 x minus 3. It's in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. But we have a fraction. And according to the rule of standard form, we cannot have fractions or decimals. So how do we undo this 2/5 fraction? What we want to do is to multiply everything on both sides of the equation by the denominator. So if the denominator in this case is 5, we're going to multiply the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the equals by 5. So what that becomes is on the left, 5y, 5 times y, and then on the right, 2/5 x times 5 is just 2x. The 5 on top and bottom cancel. So 2/5 x times 5 gives me 2x. And then minus 5 times 3, which is minus 15. So we distribute this 5 to each part of the inside. So then what I have is 5y equals 2x minus 15. Well, according to standard form, I need my x and y on the same side, and then c is a number on its own on the right. So I need to get rid of this positive 2x from the right-hand side. So how do I get rid of the positive 2x? I subtract 2x from each side of the equals. So then this would become a negative 2x plus the 5y that's already there equals a negative 15 that's left on the right. And this would be our equation in standard form. Negative 2x plus 5y equals a negative 15. All whole numbers, positive or negative, no decimals or fractions. So in B, let's look at this idea. We have 1/2 y equals a negative 5x plus 11. So I need to find a fraction, which in this case, it's 1/2 y. I want to get rid of the fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides of the equals by the denominator of 2. So on the left, we have 2, then in parentheses, negative 5x plus 11. So I need to distribute the 2. 2 times a negative 5x is a negative 10x, plus 2 times 11 is 22. On the right, 1/2 y times 2 leaves me with just 1 y. So I have a negative 10x plus 22 equals y. I want to get my x and y's to one side and leave the constant, the number, on its own. So I'm going to add 10x to each side to get rid of this negative 10x. So I end up with 10x plus y equals 22. and that would be our standard form of the line. It's in the form ax plus by, so whatever number times x plus whatever number times y equals the number on its own. So that is if we're already in slope-intercept form going to standard form. Now in example 2 here, they say write the standard form of an equation of a line with the given slope passing through the given point. So if they give us slope and a point, the first thing we want to do is to write our equation in point-slope form from last lesson. So y minus y1 equals our slope m, then in parentheses x minus x1. So rewriting this info, m equals -4, point -3, 2. The 2 goes in for y sub 1, so y minus 2 equals our slope m, -4, then in parentheses, x minus x sub 1, so x minus a -3 is x plus 3. So now this info is written in point-slope form. Now what I want to do is go through the algebra. So I'm going to do the distributive property and then rearrange the equation into standard form ax plus by equals c. So if I have y minus 2 equals -4 times x plus 3, I need to distribute the -4 to each part of the interior. So -4 times x is a -4x. -4 times +3 is a -12. So now I have y minus 2 equals -4x minus 12. I want to get the x and y to one side, so I'm going to undo this -4x by adding 4x to each side. Now I have 4x plus y minus 2 equals a -12. I want to get rid of this minus 2 from the side of x and y, so I'll add 2 to each side. -12 plus 2 is a -10. So I have 4x plus y equals -10, and that's our standard form of the line. In B, same process, take our info and write it in point-slope form. So slope of 3/4, point -5,1, gives us the equation y minus 1 equals 3/4 times x plus 5. Now, I need to distribute the 3/4 times x and times 5. So that gives me y minus 1 equals 3/4 x plus 15/4. Now what I notice is on the right, I have two fractions with a denominator of 4. I want to get rid of the 4, so I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by the denominator of 4. So on the left, 4 times y is 4y, 4 times -1 is -4. So the left-hand side is 4y minus 4. On the right, 3/4 x times 4 is just 3x, and 15/4 times 4 is just 15. So that's 3x plus 15. Now I want to get x and y to one side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. So I end up with a -3x plus 4y minus 4 equals 15. So now I just need to get rid of this -4. So I'd add 4 to each side. And a -3x plus 4y equals 19. And that would be our equation in standard form. So then we get to C and D. C and D is the same process as A and B. So I'll let you copy those down. I'm not going to walk through the math again because we still have example 3, which takes a couple more steps to get to. So C and D, you can give those a try, see the math here to check how you did. But now we'll look at example 3. Example 3 says write the standard form of an equation of a line that passes through the given points. So now they gave us 2 points. So in this case, if they give you 2 points, we have 4 steps to go through. The first step is to take the 2 points and find your slope. So change in y over change in x. The second step then is to write it in slope-intercept form and solve for b. Then the third step is to write your equation fully in slope-intercept form, and then to rewrite that in standard form. So let's look at this process to start. In A, they give us 2 points, -3, and 7, 2. So I'm going to find the slope, change in y over change in x. 2 minus -3 on top is 2 plus 3. 7 minus -3 on bottom is 7 plus 3. So my slope is 5 over 10, which is a positive 1/2. So step 1, found my slope. Step 2, write the equation in slope-intercept form to solve for b. So I need y equals mx plus b, and I can plug in either of these 2 points for x and y to find b. So I'm going to use the 2 and 7 for x and y. So I'd have the 2 in place of y, so 2 equals 1/2 times x plus b. So I end up with 2 equals 7/2 plus b. Subtract the 7/2 from 2. So b equals a -3/2, or 1.5. So now I have my y-intercept b. So that equation in slope-intercept form, slope of 1/2, b is a -3/2. So that equation would be y equals 1/2 x minus 3/2. So now I have my slope-intercept equation, y equals 1/2 x minus 3/2. The last thing to do is to write that into standard form. So I need to get rid of fractions by multiplying both sides by the denominator of 2. So that gives me on the left 2y equals 1/2 x times 2 is just x, minus 3/2 times 2 is just 3. So that would equal 2y equals x minus 3. Now I need to get x and y to the same side, so I'm going to subtract x. So I end up with a -x plus 2y equals a -3. And then we can do the same in part B. We have the points 9, -2, and -3, 2. So first thing I need to do is find my slope, change in y over change in x. So 2 minus -2 on top is 2 plus 2. Bottom -3 minus 9 is a -12. So 4 over -12 simplifies to a -1/3. So now I have my slope. Then I need to write it in y equals mx plus b to solve for b using one of these points for y and x. So I'm going to use the -3, 2. So 2 goes in for y, -3 for x. I need to find b. So 2 times a -1/3 times -3 plus b. -3 times a -1/3 is a positive 1. So 2 would equal 1 plus b. Subtract the 1 from each side, and 1 equals b. So now I have b, and I have my slope. So I can write my equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals -1/3 x plus 1. Now I need to undo my fraction by multiplying both sides by the denominator. So in this case, I'm multiplying both sides by a -3. I wanted to get rid of the negative at the same time. So multiplying both sides by -3, -3 times y is a -3y. -3 times a -1/3 x is just x. And then a positive 1 times -3 is a -3. So in this case, we have a -3y equals x minus 3. Then we need to get x and y to the same side, so subtract x from each side of our equation, and we end up with a negative x minus 3y equals negative 3. And that's the same thing as x plus 3y equals 3. So our 4 steps right here if they give us 2 points. Now I'm not going to worry about C and D here. They're there for you to try if you'd like. And if you want to come check with me, I can walk you through them. And then we get down to our last pieces, which are the idea behind horizontal or vertical lines. So again, in standard form, horizontal and vertical lines have a special equation. If we ever have a vertical line, like here, a vertical line through 5, the equation simply is x equals whatever number it's going through vertically, your x value, so x equals 5. If you have a horizontal line through a number, it's y equals the y value, so these are at 1 for the y values. So our horizontal line is y equals 1. So then if we give ourselves some info, if you're ever told your slope is 0, so if m ever equals 0, that tells me it's a horizontal line, meaning it's just going to be y equals the y value. So my y value is negative 1, so it would be y equals negative 1 for that equation. And then in D, we have 3, 7, and 3, 1 as our coordinates. If you ever have the same x values, so both x's are at 3, that tells me I have a vertical line. So in that case, if the x values are the same, I get a vertical line through 3, so my equation would be x equals 3. And now we get to our last example. Example 5 says you're buying burger and chicken for a cookout. Hamburgers cost $2 per pound, chicken costs $3 per pound. We have $30 to spend. So in this case, I need to write an equation in standard form. So my standard form equation, if hamburger is $2 per pound and I made hamburger X, it'd be 2X. And then chicken's $3 per pound and chicken's Y, so it'd be plus 3Y equals my total to spend at $30. So 2X plus 3Y equals 30. So then in part B, make a table of possible combinations. So you can choose some numbers to put in for X to figure out what Y would be. So in this case, if I put a 0 in for X, 2 times 0 is 0. So I'm left with 3y equals 30. Divide both sides by 3 and y equals 10. What if I put a 3 in for x? 2 times 3 is 6. So I have 6 plus 3y equals 30. Subtract the 6. So then 3y equals 24. Divide by 3 and y equals 8. So you'd want to put different numbers in for x to figure out what y would equal. So I did that with 6, with 9, with 12, and with 15. Doesn't matter what numbers, you just want to choose some to go in for x to figure out y. Now that I have that information, they want me to graph the values from my table. So you can tell I went by 2's, vertically and horizontally. Your y value chicken goes vertical. X value hamburger goes horizontal. Title, I just made it cookout meat. And then my points, so over 0, up 10, right there. Over 3, up 8, right there. Over 6, up 6. Over 9, up 4. Over 12, up 2. And over 15, up 0. Then connect your points with the line, and there's our graph. So the main idea for this lesson is obviously writing in standard form. You need x and y on the same side equaling a number on its own.